Good evening, everyone. Tonight we're stepping off the beaten path and into the halls of the North American Cryptid Museum. From towering silhouettes of Bigfoot to the glowing eyes of Mothman, our guest today has spent their lives bringing the things of nightmares into the light of day. Joining us is Alan to discuss the zoological unknowns that haunt our forests and our folklore. So let's see what's hiding in the shadows tonight on Unraveling the Darkness.
Oops.
How's it going, man? I know
Good.
normally it drops you right in.
I usually put myself in when it starts.
Oh, okay. I always thought it dropped you in.
Oh, no, I was doing some other stuff over here, so I was
Got
like,
sidetracked.
it started. So, what's going on?
Oh, man, it's been a weird week, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been quite the week. So,
Yeah, got that big Arctic front that came over and dropped us down to like negative 47 with the wind chill.
yeah,
That was
with,
miserable.
with an investigation Saturday. Walked
Yeah,
out of that, and it was woof,
that was cold. Yep.
cold. So,
Yep. That investigation was a lot of fun, though.
very cool. I think we're going to do a team surprise pod one night, and
Yeah, I think that'll be good.
jump on here live, and if y'all are watching, you're watching, and we'll talk about it. No details on where it is, but what we did come across, it was pretty neat.
Yeah, it was interesting, and some of the solutions and stuff we think we came up with for what's going on there too. I think it's worth getting on and having a little mini episode about it.
Yeah, good to get out there and help some people when they're having issues.
Yep, absolutely. And they seemed a little better when we left than when we got there. So
Much better, I feel.
yeah.
So, we're down your alley tonight.
Yes, cryptids.
Yeah, that's definitely more you. So people will probably hear more from you tonight than me as usual. So that's good.
Yeah. We'll bring you over to the dark side.
Yeah. So
all right. Well, let's get Alan in.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Alan. How's it going, man?
Oh, it's going great. It's going great. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate you coming on. So, the North American Cryptid Museum. That's a sounds like a big thing. What brought that in?
Okay, so let's go big background first. I'm a haunted house guy. I have done haunted attractions, but not like haunted house, more like haunted attractions. Okay. All the ghosts that I have, I pay to be there. So that's my background. And we have a successful haunted house, dark hour haunted house in Plano, Texas. And it's almost like if you are a haunted house of a certain size, you have to have a second attraction, something. And a big thing for year-round revenue has been escape rooms. And we had escape rooms, and I could never get into it. I kind of understand escape rooms, but I've watched way too many episodes of MacGyver as a kid. Like, the way that I want to get out, which I think would work, isn't the way that you want me to want to get out. Yep. So I have to really narrow my focus, and they're linear. But anyway,
that linear thinking, yeah.
So I ended up shutting those down, and we had an empty space for a bit. And I have been a cryptid fan. I got into haunted houses by monsters, not by Halloween like most people do. So I've always loved monsters. I've always loved cryptids. I've always loved Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster. And there's so many awesome things to spend your time thinking about. in the cryptid world where I thought, you know what, let's do this as a museum. I have a bit of a museum background because we have a Renaissance Festival here, which is Scarborough Renaissance Festival, which is in Waxahachie, Texas. At that Renaissance Festival, I have a mythical monster museum.
Oh,
That's cool.
For haunted attractions, I build masks and costumes and props and all that. So the mythical monster museum was a way for me to take these monsters I've already molded, make a copy of it, put the head on the wall, put a little backstory with it. And I learned that I kind of love that business model of here's all these cool things, come look at them. And especially in the fantasy genre or even cryptids, then, there's anybody who's into that is kind of like a fringe person, I hate to say, but like they're a little bit on the fringe. And when you make a building that is a monument to them, they feel acknowledged and recognized and validated. And I think that's a lot of what we do with the Fantasy Mythical Monster Museum and what I hope to have happen with the Cryptid Museum that is officially opening in June. But anytime my haunted house is open, we'll open it up and let people go through and see where we're at so far.
very nice. Yeah, I had seen you on Facebook and seen some of the pictures and stuff and thought, man, that's pretty cool. People should know about this.
Yeah, the angle of the museum is a little bit different, I think, than normal. Every single exhibit we have is a full-size display of the creature as described. What I really want is I want people to come in and be able to put themselves in the shoes of the eyewitness. So you're going to, there's two types of chupacabra, and that's one of Texas's main cryptids. So I have both types. I have the alien type and I have the more coyote-like chupacabra there. But I want people to have that feeling of what would it feel like to see this in the wild? What would it make you think? How significant would you feel when you're standing next to a 9-foot Bigfoot, or even know that it's lurking over there? We have a lot of exhibits coming, which I'm very excited about. That we're doing in Alaska. There's a cryptid called a booger bear, it's a 12 to 15 foot tall bear. We are building a 12-foot tall bear for people to be able to walk up to and see. And it's nice to have the background of being a monster maker because it allows us to explore all these avenues. But I want, there'll be at least, when we open in June, there'll be at least one exhibit for each state and a few for Canada and a few for Mexico because we are, North America.
So I imagine because obviously Aaron and I are in Wyoming, so I imagine you'll be going with the jackalope for that one.
No, jackalope had already gone to someone else. And you guys have have you heard of Casper Mountain?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not from Wyoming. I had not heard of it. There's a whole new class of cryptid, which is kind of new, but there's a Casper Mountain crawler. And crawlers are a type of cryptid which visually they look like a creepypasta figure called the Rake. They're tall, long, skinny, big eyes, and a lot of sharp teeth in their mouth, long fingers, and they're the ones that you'll see a lot of deer cam footage of them, just on the edge, and they're like naked humanoids, but real gaunt and real skinny, and big black eyes. And so Wyoming has the Casper Mountain crawler. There is a really long, look at that. There's a crawler, kind of, a little blurry on that one.
Yep.
But Wyoming has the Casper Mountain crawler, and it's a really nice, well-documented description. It is he had a very long experience. He saw it for several minutes. And it was trying to get up a ridge at him, and it wasn't able to. And I I had such joy in doing the research for the museum because, you know, I've loved them my whole life. It doesn't mean I know a cryptid for every single state. You know,
Right.
I don't have that knowledge. I'm not a dictionary. So doing the research, it was just such a joyous, you know, couple of months. And I'm still doing research because I'm still adding more and finding more that I can build. And, you know, discovering this, and then it has notes of this and notes of this. And, you know, if it looks a little bit like, well, there's a skinwalker, which is a different creature, but often the crawler description is called a skinwalker. That's how it works sometimes with stories and whatnot.
Yep.
And then that skinwalker, which never used to have a great description, looks like a scarier version of, in D&D, there's a shape-shifting, and they like a gray humanoid. They look a little bit like what are they called? A changeling? Changelings. Yeah. So changelings, crawlers are kind of got mashed together in talk and culture. I don't know. Their entomology is very interesting to me, of where these cryptids come from, what might be the cause for them, and then, you know, also, you know, what is influencing this to make this cryptid popular right now. I just find those things fascinating.
So from your research, have you found that most crawler mythology comes from, you know, in Native American based areas, you know, like Casper Mountain? You're right up there by the reservation that's in Riverton.
Sorry, guys. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Not necessarily. And I worked very hard on the Cryptid Museum I'm staying away from religion as much as I can. I'm staying away from taking anything without massive respect from indigenous peoples. So I'm just being very careful because we're dealing with sometimes lore, sometimes myth that they have had for a long time, and now it might be new to us, but I will have to be respectful of everything that we work on. So I'm not saying that we don't have some that have been mentioned by, you know, indigenous native North Americans, but you know, I haven't. And also, crawlers have popped up in several locations. I'll also say that crawlers are, to me, more associated with the rise of the internet than they are, and that type of storytelling, like creepypasta, than they are influenced by any type of indigenous people areas of influence. Yeah, that was a very long-winded answer.
No,
sorry,
no, you're fine, man. Yeah, I've been kind of not diving deep, but really getting into the creepypasta you know, lore over the past couple of years. You know, you got my favorite right now is Siren Head, just because it's so, you know, strange. Just this huge, you know, 50-60 foot tall beast with sirens for heads. And
with the advent of the internet, it's a whole new way to tell stories. It's a whole new way to fascinate people. And Siren Head, I wish I remembered the name, but he was designed by a Canadian artist. And, you know, some of these things like creepypasta, when we say that, we mean these are stories and myths that were created on the internet and spread through the internet. And many of them kind of break out. Slender Man is a great example of that.
Yes.
You know, he very much started on the internet. I may do a creepypasta wing in the future of the Cryptid Museum, because
that would be cool.
These creatures are fascinating. But I really wanted, like I said, I wanted to go with like eyewitness descriptions. What did people see? And what is as much of the story as I can tell about it, is what I was really going for.
I think that's a great way to look at it. I kind of look at it, you know, from what you're saying as, you know, when I first started hiking up in Yellowstone, you know, and you hear about grizzly bears, right? And, you know, I've seen them from a distance, right? Maybe like a mile away. You can't really appreciate the size. And then you go to that Grizzly Discovery Center they have there, and you're 20 feet away from an 850-pound, 900-pound grizzly bear. That is very intimidating and very surreal, so I think doing that and putting someone right up next to a Sasquatch, and give them that perspective of what it would really be like to come across one of these in the middle of the woods.
Yeah. So I do we're live a lot on Wednesday nights on one of my Halloween channels, the Stilt Beast Live, which is it's us making things in the shop, basically. Sometimes we're making stuff for the Cryptid Museum. Sometimes it's stuff for a haunted house or set pieces or whatever, or painting. But there's always work to be done. And every Wednesday night we go live. For a long period of time, I would say, I want to punch a bear. Because I want to fight almost everything,
Right?
And I want to punch a bear. And another thing that I do is haunted house consultation. I was doing consultation for the Plumpton Park Zoo or Plumpton Point Zoo in Maryland. I was up there and I was consulting for them and doing some actor training and stuff. And they're a zoo. And same situation. He walked me down to the bear pen, and I'm not looking eye to eye with the bear. I'm looking at the bear's nipples, because the bear is like up here. And I no longer wanted to punch that bear in the face.
Yeah, imagine that. Yeah.
Yeah, because the bear wasn't using this. The bear had, just massive claws. Yeah.
So how long have you been doing your the haunted house for?
So Dark Hour has been open since 2013. But I have been doing haunted houses since I was 10 years old. Nice. There was one near my grandmother's house, and I walked down and I said, I want to scare people, and they let me scare people. And I kind of figured out this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And luckily, I've never had a real job. It's always been haunted house stuff.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I'm a member of the Knights of Pythias out here in Cheyenne, and we've had a haunted house that we do since 1989.
That's awesome. Yeah.
No animatronics, everything is, prop and volunteer actor based. And yeah, it's the same thing. My kids have been doing it since, 6, 7 years old. And, so it's a huge part in our life too. And it's great when kids get involved in that.
There's an element to haunted attractions that I think that you don't find anywhere else. It's one of the few attractions where a group of people go in, and as soon as they get into the space, that group of people, friends, strangers, whatever, they get a little closer together because they're about to start going through it. And I think that there's something wonderful about them experiencing that raw emotion.
Yes.
And the concept of antelope never feels so alive as it just got away from a lion.
Right.
And when people get out of the haunted house, they laugh, they scream, they run 3 steps, and they laugh because it's such a pressure release of whatever the world is doing to them, and it lets them be alive for a little while.
Yep. And I love seeing the dynamics of the groups too. They come in and, or shoulders up, chest out, and then within a couple rooms, you really see who the brave one is in the group is, and everyone's hiding behind him as they, go through the maze and whatnot. I love it.
It's a great study on people. You learn a lot about different types of people inside the haunted house.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So, Cryptid Museum, and we started talking a little bit about creepypasta. Mm-hmm. What I want to mention is we used to have in the communities that we did when we lived in caves, when we lived in simple structures, there was that community campfire, and you would tell stories around it. I think that creepypasta is our way of telling scary stories and warnings now that the world has kind of separated us and we don't live in communities that same way anymore. Even the family unit is smaller and smaller inside of a house. So it's really fascinating we have the need for these dark stories.
Yeah.
We have the need for some element of horror, some element of supernatural that we have to find a way to inject into our lives in a world that we have actually made really safe, So I just find that fascinating. Creepypasta is really something I enjoy watching. Are you familiar with SCPs?
Not the acronym.
Okay, so an SCP is, I think it is survey, contain, protect, I think is what it means. But it's a whole type of creepypasta that is built around the story of one particular monster. And it might be like SCP-47. And the concept is these are all reports from a government agency whose job it is to collect monsters and contain them. So it talks about what the creature is and what its powers does, and what kind of containment area it needs, and that SCP creepypasta type, which is massive. I highly suggest you do a little bit of research into it, because it's very cool. And it's one of those, it's free form, like storytelling, in that there's a structure to it. And so many different people have written about different monsters and creatures that are contained. There's an SCP logo, and there's supposed to be secret facilities and stuff. But that feel, that sense is something that I really like tapping into for the Cryptid Museum. I want it to be an experience where it almost feels like we went out and caught one and then taxidermized it. Right. That's what I want it to feel like.
Yeah, that's just such an interesting take on the museum. I can really appreciate that because, like I said, it's different when you can put perspective into it, and you're not just looking at, a mural or, something like that of, a Sasquatch or Mothman or any of that.
Go ahead.
So how much research would you say you did into, each one for each state?
Oh my gosh. A ton. Each one probably got a week of intense looking for stories, looking for newspaper clippings, looking for anytime it was mentioned, looking for video, as many eyewitness descriptions as I can get, because I, like for Mothman, it was 15 different eyewitness descriptions. Mm-hmm. Some of them contradict each other. And, what are the main points of it? What do people think Mothman looks like? Because that's what I kind of have to show them in the museum. It is, there's the Mothman statue, which is metal, and he looks like a buff dude, and he's part butterfly. That's not at all what the Mothman looks like, Right. And now popular cryptid culture has the Mothman as, all black, and he's very cute.
Yep.
And I don't know if you know this or not, but there is a series of Mothman romance novels.
I was not aware of that.
Well, if you research Mothman enough, you will run into the secret Mothman lovin' is out there. So
interesting.
But tons of research for all of it. It's fascinating to do. You mentioned on one of the promos for me being on the podcast, you said you were going to ask what evidence that I have. And you said you mentioned something about evidence. Mm-hmm. And I'm not evidence-based. I know that sounds a little bit silly. Do I have plaster Bigfoot casts in my Bigfoot footprint casts in the museum? Absolutely, I do. Gotcha. And I say where they came from. I say what area they're from, what set of tracks it's from. I have a bunch. But I believe in Bigfoot because my life is better if I believe in Bigfoot. The world is better if I believe in Bigfoot than if I don't.
Right.
Yep. There's one more thing to be disappointed in, and I don't want that. So I believe in Bigfoot, and my faith in Bigfoot is bigger than someone else's. Okay, you want to argue with me that he doesn't exist? Okay, you go right ahead. I still think he exists. It's way more fun. And when I hear, I know our ghost guy left, but when I hear a ghost story, I don't use evidence to tell me if that ghost story is real. If they're telling me the story and my eyes start to water, if they're telling me the story and the hair on the back of my neck stands up, that's a real ghost
created
story.
The right impact. Yep.
That's a real ghost story. And I kind of feel that way about cryptids. It's, if it impacts your life, then it's real, you know, and that's all I want. You know, I think the world needs way more monsters. The world doesn't have enough. We've chased all the monsters away. We've lit all the caves, you know, and we've chased the monsters away, and the world needs some monsters. There used to be a whole, a lot of this is from the Mythical Monster Museum. I'm a monster guy, so I'm going to talk about monsters a lot. There used to be a thing called nursery bogies, right? And a nursery bogie is any creature that is talked about to children by their parents or by relatives or by people in the community in order to change the behavior of the child. Krampus is a great example. Krampus is a nursery bogie. If you're bad, then Krampus is going to come and he'll take you back to his cave. And you know, he'll take you away and he'll eat you. And then, you know, Christianity came to the area. He'll take you back and he'll take you to hell, you know. So you know, they wanted to demonize the monsters. But anyway, so nursery bogies. There's in England, there's Jenny Greenteeth, and that's a certain body of water. Well, a lot of kids drowned there.
Yep.
Was it because Jenny Greenteeth dragged the kid into the water? Or was it, but regardless, they're telling children, don't go near the water because Jenny Greenteeth will drag you in and drown you. You're way safer if you don't do that. So listen to that nursery bogie story. And I don't know that we have enough of those anymore. You know, I think we need some office bogies. We need some, you know, all kinds of workplace bogies in order to help steer our behavior, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I remember when I first came across the creepypasta, and I was just so happy that there were some new, you know, monsters, you know, to read about. And it was just so interesting after, I don't know, a little bit of time of reading. And I'm like, wow, you know, we're witnessing in real time, you know, new mythos being created, you know, just like, you know, we hear about Krampus, obviously. And, you know, like you said, all the nursery bogies from, you know, way back going up to, you know, 1800s. But for a while, we didn't really have any new ones. And seeing these get developed like that is so interesting.
Well, and we had movies which created monsters. You know, we added Freddy Krueger, we added Jason, we added The Thing. All kinds of monsters came from movies, but they didn't have any cultural impact beyond them being a, you know, a really good film, a good movie, a good series. But still, I think a lot of their strength is in they made kids in the real world afraid of them. You know, I was terrified of Freddy Krueger when I was a kid. You know, I was very young and like, okay. And that's part of me becoming who I am. Is my strategy for dealing with that fear was I'm going to become friends with the monsters. I'm going to become a monster. And, you know, that's why I've done haunted houses for so long. And I've kind of robbed myself of that fear of the dark. You know, I did about 8 years in Orlando at year-round haunted houses, 40 hours a week, scaring people. And, you know, now I've owned several haunted houses. I've been at this one for a long time. We do, you know, we'll see 30,000 guests in a good haunt season. Nice. And if I'm not the scariest thing in the dark, I'm not working hard enough.
Yep, exactly.
So I have to believe in monsters to know that there's something scarier than me. There's something out there that is going to best me, you know, which I love.
Something to strive for. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Go bigger, go scarier, you know, think about what's next.
I think that's what you guys are going to do this year, right? I mean,
yeah, I think that's the goal. So
the goal is to like redo everything and make it even better and scarier.
Yep.
With these exhibits you have, do you have stories posted that'll go with these, or is it just describing what it is?
So there are some accounts because, you know, a lot of times The most credible monsters are honestly, they're like a one-time account. They saw this one time and that's it. And I find those fascinating. Or there was a period of a week where everybody in town saw this monster and then it went away. Whether it's the Van Meter monster or the Dover demon, there was a period of time where they were seen a lot and then they were gone. A Mothman is kind of the same way. You don't get a new Mothman sighting every week. So some of them are really built off of those experiences that people had, and I include a lot of them. Also, there will be, when we open in June, probably about, 10%, 20% of the exhibits will have either a video with the eyewitness descriptions and news on it from that time, or an expert about that creature speaking about it. So there's going to be a lot of interactivity as far as the exhibits go, helping you get a little bit more of that story and where they were seen. We have a little section that's kind of built like the woods, and there's a few creatures in that. We have the whole thing is kind of expedition themed, but also like park ranger themed. Like that's the feel that I was going for, because so many things happen in our national parks, and there's a lot to explore there down the road. And at our ranger station, there's a porch, and that's where the Illinois Enfield Horror exhibit is. The Enfield Horror is one that it was only described by one guy who he was super freaked out. Well, his kids saw it too, but he was a police chief, and he says he heard this noise outside, and when he got there and he heard the noise on his porch, he looked out the window, and there was this 3-legged monster with these little tiny arms. And, just the description of it is wild. It's hair in some places, but it looks really deformed and grotesque. So the Enfield Horror is, you see, that's a rather nice drawing of it. Mm-hmm. It's a good drawing. That creature makes a lot more sense than some of the descriptions. But it was a very upstanding person who saw this, and he wasn't a practical joker, and it goes down as a, what the heck was that? When I pass on, right? And if I get the opportunity, I have a list of questions, and a lot of them are cryptid based. It's like, hey, I need to know what this was and what happened.
Yep.
You said you open in June. Is there a hard date for an open?
Yeah, it's that first weekend in June. In my brain, I think it's like the 6th, 7th. I'm not a good dates guy, but yeah, it's like the first weekend in June. It's very early in June, and we're going to do probably some kind of a nice blowout grand opening, because we have the haunted house already. That's there. We have a nice gift shop, so it's gonna, the cryptid gift shop is coming along. We keep adding merchandise to it and just getting it ready. But yeah, big blowout in June for the opening of the North American Cryptid Museum.
All right,
June 6th.
June 6th.
I'm not good at dates. That's not.
We have a question in the comments from one of our guests that we've had on before. Do you recall a restaurant just north of Dallas called Bigfoot Barbecue? She wondered if maybe you made the Sasquatch that they had there.
I did not. And if I recall, the Bigfoot Barbecue Sasquatch was actually a Chewbacca.
Oh.
I believe that was a Chewbacca figure made by one of the old Halloween companies that used to make big full-size props. So if I recall correctly, and I think I do, it was just a big Chewbacca.
That's cool.
And I was mighty disappointed.
So of the exhibits that you have made now, what is your favorite?
Oh my gosh.
In the museum. Or one you look forward to making?
Well, we're starting to make the booger bear, which is a 12-foot tall bear, and that's going to be a test of engineering, to make this big, 12-foot tall bear so he's stable and and looks right. There's so many, but we have a Shunka Warrican, which is a cryptid. It's a wolf-like creature, all black. And it's one of Shunka Warunkin. I think it is Nebraska, Nevada, Nebraska. It's up north. I forget which state it's assigned to, but it's one of the cryptids that we actually had a taxidermy of. And so someone shot it. It was had a penchant for taking livestock, and someone shot it, and it was taxidermized, and no one really knew what it was exactly. So pretty fascinating. And that was one of the first ones that we had finished. So yeah, like look at that thing.
That's so cool.
Right. It's and that taxidermy, like you could go to wherever it was. I think it was like a gas station for a long time. And you could just go and see that cryptid and be like, what is that? I don't know. What is that? And
isn't there a lady in Texas that has a taxidermied chupacabra?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, there's a couple of those. Now, those could be genetically tested, and you might find out that it's a coyote with some severe mange, which it does make them look very different, but I think it still has that same feel. If you've ever seen a bear with mange, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
A hairless bear is terrifying. But anyway, I went off track.
Imagine if you saw it in the wild, though. It's like,
yeah, oh, absolutely.
Stands up and it's tall and it's just, that'd be crazy.
So the Shunka Warungan, that was one of the ones that was, see, and that's not even fully de-haired.
Yep.
Once all the hair is gone, they are nightmare fuel. Yep. But it was done pretty early. And that period of time, I was researching cryptids in my office, and I was making cryptids in the back. And there was one or two people who were making cryptid creatures all the time. But every morning I would go in and I would, pat the good boy on his head and say what a good boy he was, because he was, for a long time, the Cryptid Museum has been in my head, and it has been an idea. And he was one of the first things that said, this is the first cryptid for the museum, and he really made it real. And anytime you can make cryptids real, I think that's a good thing. And in my head, he really prepared me and encouraged me to make that next monster.
That's cool. You always got to have that inspiration, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I was very fortunate in some ways. When you are the owner of a large attraction, there's work you have to do. And I'm in my office more than I want to be. But I was able to give some very talented people very detailed instructions on what and how to make. And then I had the joy of being surprised when a monster showed up. So, many of those, that was a big joy for me to see them show up that way. Right now, we're making the water babies of Pyramid Lake.
Oh.
And that is a very creepy cryptids. And there's a couple that are very human-esque and should kind of be treaded carefully. We do have melon heads, which are really just unfortunate people, I think. But it's the mythos and it's the lore around that circumstance which makes them interesting and makes them still have lore to this day in Connecticut.
You're gonna have like little people, like I think that's not strictly Wyoming, but I think it's pretty well native, maybe across half the country, with the little people.
So there are, they show up a lot. And the one that we're going to have is actually Hawaiian based, the Menehune. who are often, and it's very similar, the comparisons to like Scandinavian elves and what they did. They were little people who would work on stuff with tools, or steal your tools or break your tools. And the Menehune are also, they will build things. They're actually credited with building temples and whatnot that they have found from a past time. And eventually, I hope I get to all of them. I hope I get to all of the cryptids that are out there. But I was really there. I had two challenges, right? I wanted a cryptid that wasn't necessarily paranormal. I wanted it to be more, because everybody has most big lakes have a lady of the lake ghost of some kind, Yep. I wanted, or they have a witch who they're in their area that was hung and killed or burned or whatever, and is kind of rumored to still be around. I didn't want paranormal. I wanted, it's an animal, that's one of the things that I wanted. And my other big challenge was how many of them can be Bigfoot, because every single state has Bigfoot. Yep. Of some kind or variety.
Right.
So I very early on, I said no more than 10% can be Bigfoot, or a variation of Bigfoot. So then, that makes you dive a little bit deeper, because the most known cryptid, I think, in almost every state is a Bigfoot of some variety. And, I'll get to the Ohio Grassman, but right now, no. I'll get to Momo, but not right now, because, I'm at my Bigfoot quota, and there are plenty of amazing Bigfoot museums and Bigfoot research centers around the country, right, which are awesome. And I want La Luchesa, which is an owl woman, which from northern Mexico and South Texas. I want Michigan Dogman. I want the Beast of Bray Road. I want the Pope Lick monster. There's so many cool things that are not Bigfoot that I think really need some light shined on them. And I think the best way to do that is a semi-dark museum.
So I can't touch on cryptids without, and Jason, I know you know right off what it's going to be, the one from Colorado, the rock slide bolter. Do you know about that guy?
Okay, so yes, the rock slide bolter is basically a land whale who is, in a way, kind of a nursery bogey, because it is up on top of the mountain, and when it sees a target down there, it'll slide down the mountain with this big open mouth and try to catch things, which is kind of a warning for rock slides. It's a warning for falling rock. If you're nervous about the rock slide bolter and you keep looking up at the rocks, you might see loose rocks that could be a problem, So the rock slide bolter is part of I'm going to nerd out on monsters here for a minute, okay?
You're fine. That's why we're here.
The rock slide bolter is part of a group of monsters called the fearsome critters. And the fearsome critters, that terminology, that whole grouping, has some real silly monsters in it, and it has some that make you think a little bit. I tend to think the rock slide bolter is a little bit on the silly side, but also remember, I'm building all these things life size.
Yeah.
It would be very difficult for me to get a rock slide bolter in there. What is that?
This is the duck-footed dum-dum.
That's one of the fearsome critters?
That is one of the fearsome critters. Yep.
Okay. And basically, the fearsome critters were made up by lumberjacks and miners, and they were stories that they told each other in camp. And a lot of them are nods to behavior. There is a axe handle hound, and all that he eats, his only food is axe handles. So if you leave your axe out in the woods, or if you leave your axe out overnight, the axe handle hound will get it. There's one of the ones that we're going to have at the museum is an aggro pelter from Oregon, and that is a really long-armed ape, which is up in the trees, and it throws sticks at you. And that's something that it's an aggro pelter. He's an angry ape that throws sticks at you. Doesn't that have some Bigfoot hints to it, though? There you go. There's an aggro pelter. And there's one of them that looks like a pile of flapjacks. But like some of these are very silly, but they're, and you can imagine just some cantankerous loggers sitting around and making up these different creatures. And the real good ones, that story got told over and over again at several different camps. And now it's this whole collection of lore called the fearsome critters. One of my favorites is the Wampus cat. And the Wampus cat it's like a mountain lion, but it's bigger and it's meaner. And it lives on the side of the mountain. So it has on one side 2 short legs, on the other side 2 long legs. That way, when it's standing on the side of the mountain, it can be stable. So if it comes after you, the only way to get away from it is to jump over it, because it's got to run all the way around the mountain again to get back to you. So, yeah.
So many.
Is that a Wampus cat?
Yep, that is a Wampus cat. I love this one.
That's a newer, more serious version. I love that.
It is. Yep.
It looks like a 6-footed Wampus cat.
Yeah.
They're the worst kind.
Yeah, they can run faster.
That's right. I mean, the world of lore and cryptids and Moth, it's fascinating to me. And it's something that right now what I try to do is I try to build attractions and exhibits and things that 8-year-old me would love. And that's what I go for. I'm much more on the lore and the entomology than I am necessarily on the evidence, because I don't care if they're real.
Yep. That's how I am with the Fresno Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
It's a guy on stilts. You know what I mean? The walking tooth, right?
But what is the creature? The creature is a pair of pants. That's what the creature basically is. Okay. Yep. He's a pair of pants. And
I want it to be real so bad.
It's shown up on a couple different security videos, and it's the weirdest thing. It's kind of hard to tell what it is. It does look like a pair of pants just kind of walking around. We actually did my company. We built haunted houses in Fresno last year, and we kind of theme wise we combined the Five Nights at Freddy's with cryptids, and we did Nightcrawler's Pizza because they were in Fresno.
That's cool. Yeah.
So we got to make a Bigfoot mascot and robot, and the Beast of Bray Road, and a Nightcrawler, and Chupacabra, and the Jersey Devil. So that was like their mascots for the pizza place, which was closed down, and people got them. Anyway, if you want to see that haunted house, it is in Fresno.
Yeah, and the Beast of Bray Road. I've loved that one ever since I heard about it, and that's one that Aaron, I will get you out there.
You've talked about it.
We will film an episode of walking down that dark ass road in the middle of the night.
And
we're going to get everyone out there
in Wisconsin. Like, we have a place to go, and we can, so.
Yep.
And when you get to like the Michigan Dogman, Beast of Bray Road, there's a lot of that up there.
Yep. And
the descriptions are so on point as far as being, consistent. It's really remarkable. And there's some of these while I was researching, it's like, okay, I know what that is. Like, I know the real animal that is causing all of this trouble. And,
right.
But I know that now because I have the internet,
Right.
If you lived in an area all of your life and you knew all the animals in the area and something new came in, or it was very rare and you had never seen it before, and then you describe it to someone, it's a telephone game. That next description gets a little more grand and a little more grand, and then the lore is of this monster. Yeah. Where did I start that? Where were we talking about? Oh, Michigan Dogman and Bray Road. There's other ones, so there's the ones that I kind of ruled out immediately. And then because I figured out what the animal is, because I have the internet and access to it and a love of animals, and I've seen that before. If I pulled a red-lipped batfish out of the water, I'm a fisherman. If I pulled a red-lipped batfish out of the water here in Texas, I would freak smooth out because I've never seen one before. Especially if I'd freak out now, and I have seen one. But if I had, if I didn't have the internet and I wasn't exposed to it, that would be a crazy monster. Well, and they're good sized and they're so weird looking. See, it's got feet.
Oh yeah.
Yep. They're very odd creatures. But anyway, that's just an example. And there's others where, this monster keeps showing up in this area this time of year, and this monster shows up in this area this time. And it's almost like I'm tracking a migration. And it's, okay, this is very weird. This doesn't make sense. This could be a thing, and there's several classes of cryptids that I kind of mentally put them in. There's the Beast of Busco is a good example. What is the Beast of Busco? It is a absolutely giant snapping turtle. And he was said to be the size of a dinner table.
Oof.
And massive. But it was yes, it was a cryptid, but it was on a guy's farm. It was in his pond. And if you wanted to see it, you just went to him and said, "Hey, can I see the Beast of Busco?" And he would just go, yep, there he is. If there wasn't a mystery to it, there's only the one, and he's massive.
Yep.
And it exists. And for a number of years, it was on this property, and and that it kind of became a town mascot, and then it died, unfortunately. But is that a cryptid? Yes, because a snapping turtle should not get that big.
Right.
I would eliminate swimming in fresh water if that were the case.
Yes.
I don't like to swim in the ocean. I do, but I don't like to because there is ass in the ocean I cannot kick. That is,
Yep.
that is my saying for that. There's things in there that are better at being them than I am at being me, and they can take me out.
Yeah, it takes a lot to kind of give me the willies. And out in La Jolla, Southern California, I was scuba diving, and we were 65, 70 feet down on this little reef. And then about another 10 feet down, it leveled off, and then it went and dropped off to Submarine Canyon. And that was one of the things I was determined to do. I'm going to float out over the canyon, and you feel so infinitesimally small floating out over this pitch black water that goes down for over 2 miles, and yeah.
And your brain that whole time is telling you something is coming up at me. Something is coming up. Yep. I just can't see it yet.
Yep. You could almost see Cthulhu coming,
Yeah. And look at how far you had to go to be afraid of the dark again.
Yep, exactly.
That's a little frustrating, Yep. I think that it's great that we've made the world safe, but we have to get into that unknown every now and then and feel that fear and feel a little small.
Yep.
So we don't overstep, I think. Anyway.
It's
any other questions?
It's super cool that you are able to do that and build these things from people's vision of what they've seen, for people to come and see it.
I really can't wait for us to really get open, because there are people who come and when the haunted house is open, people go through it and they enjoy it. But I can't wait till I get my first, family or group of people who have driven, several hours to come because they just enjoy cryptids. And I really look forward to, I have built a place that's going to attract my kind of people, and they will come and I'll be able to talk to them, and we can swap stories and share, what we like about cryptids and whatnot. And I just think that I'm blessed to be able to build a place that is meant to attract my kind of people, good stuff.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. Tell us a little bit about the events you're going to do there. I'm looking on your website and I see Cryptids and Cocktails, the lecture series.
Okay, so Cryptids and Cocktails is one where probably once a month we'll do an event, which is a much smaller ticket, maybe 20 people. But it's a lecture. You can tell that I like talking about monsters and creatures and cryptids. And the first one that we did was on dark winter creatures and Krampus. And we did that back in December. And it was basically like an hour-long lecture on, the traditions and where they come from, and, what the festivals are like, and maybe why the creatures look the way that they do. And at the same time, you have, cocktails, and there's a nice spread of food. Not quite dinner, but a high, not quite dinner, but, high hors d'oeuvres, enough to call it a good meal. And then after the lecture, then we do a tour of the Cryptid Museum. So I'll walk through and I'll point out different monsters, and I'll tell stories and anecdotes about those different cryptids. And the one we have coming up is kind of for Valentine's Day. It's actually more of a debate than a lecture. Which ones are more romantic, werewolves or vampires? I will be arguing the case for werewolves. And, a big part of my argument is that wolves mate for life. And vampires aren't even alive. They don't have a chance. Vampires
are
going down.
Going down.
So that's it. And just like each month, we'll have a different topic, and of course, we'll do Bigfoot, and I might bring in a special guest to talk about Bigfoot for an hour. But yeah, there's all kinds of, I think that telling stories and lecture is a really appealing thing that you don't get enough of anymore. And I can't fill an auditorium with it, but I can do my 20-person VIP room and get 20 people in there who want to have a unique experience and enjoy learning a little bit about monsters.
Yeah, we started doing lectures, and we've been working with the local library here to, about once a year go in and give a lecture on the paranormal, and that's been a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I missed the last one, so Aaron can talk about that one more. But
yeah, it was pretty cool being able to go in, and we have a local author that's a demonologist, demon folklorist, and then another gal out of Denver who does haunted dolls, and then she came up, and we're able to give this great. We did a panel and then just answered some questions from the guests, and it was fun. I think getting that engagement from people in the community helps to promote that too. Like people coming to the library, or for you, people coming to the Cryptid Museum.
Yeah, I tricked them. I made them show up.
Yep.
It gets them to come. But if family shows up or something, they're going to be like, hey, we had a great time there. Let's go over there, and then it just starts spreading that way.
And, one of my plans is because once you're a museum and once you're there, I'm going to have to rotate out exhibits, so that's something that I really look forward to, is making new exhibits and installing new exhibits. And I've gotten comments from people who have come to the haunted house. They've done the Cryptid Museum. I think they've had like 4 opportunities to see it now. But they always note, hey, this is new. And I noticed this from last time. So that tells me they're paying attention, which is good.
Nice. Yeah. Well, Alan, it's been great having you on, and it shows that you have a passion for what you do as far as making
absolutely.
monsters and then transferring that over to this cryptid museum.
Thank you. I think that it's kind of my duty, my job to make monsters more relevant, make them realize how prevalent they are in society, how much they're needed. I'm going to say something that really frustrated me a year or two ago, I guess. The Last of Us, which was a TV series on, was it HBO? It was one of them. But it's based off a video game. And there's fungal zombies are kind of the main monster in it.
Yep.
And the way that first season went was, the progression of the fungal zombies, and they showed up, and of course they fought them and stuff. But then at the end, like the big bad of the season was a human. He was basically a child molester. And that rubbed me the wrong way. And well, of course, that's abhorrent behavior. But you have this rich lore, which all these cool monsters that they made. And you chose to make a villain a person.
Yep.
I can find crappy people on CNN.
Everywhere.
I don't need a fantasy TV series to show it to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
And telling fun, awesome stories about monsters who they're just existing and eating people because they're hungry. I think that's cool. It doesn't have to be any kind of a big, deep meta thing. It's believe in Bigfoot because your life is better if you believe in Bigfoot than if you don't.
We have one more question over here I want to get to before we let you go.
Sure.
I think this is a good question. What is the difference between Wolfman and a werewolf?
Oh boy. Okay, so this is going more towards my mythical monster museum, and I'm a huge werewolf fan. This is going back towards that training and learning through looking at historical stuff. A wolfman is cursed. If you are a wolfman, they have no snout. They're part man, part wolf. You see them in the movies quite a bit. And they are cursed to go after someone that they care about, whether it's their parents or their loved one. Yeah, they'll take random victims, but they're really compelled to kill someone that they love because it's a curse. And a werewolf is someone who has chosen that and gets joy from it. In medieval times, it was normally a criminal was running from villagers who were chasing him, and he would be running through the woods, and he encounters the dark man of the forest, which is a figure who is made to represent the devil. And the dark man of the forest would offer him either a salve or a cloak that if you put this on, then you'll become a wolf and you'll be able to get away from those villagers who are coming. And I hear them coming. And they take it, and it is powers granted to them in order to escape. But then that power is a little bit addicting, and they start attacking children and attacking livestock, and eventually get hunted because they're a werewolf. So that's the difference. Is one is cursed, and one it's a dark blessing.
There we go. Nice. That's great. Yeah, something that I had never thought about, but yeah, that's pretty neat how one's cursed. And then
if you became it by accident, you're probably a wolf man and you're cursed. There's old stories of desperate men who drank water out of a wolf's paw print because that was the only water that they could get, and that drinking that wolf's paw print water made them into a wolf man. Made them into, then it was called a werewolf, but they didn't choose it, so it was a curse. Whereas if you made a deal and accepted it, then it's a dark blessing, and you're a werewolf.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate that. We always love hearing cryptid stories. I know Jason's big into the cryptids, and I was like, hey, tonight's your night.
Yep.
So, anything that you would like to tell us before we leave? We let you go.
Just that the North American Cryptid Museum is coming. You can find our socials. We're on Facebook. I believe we're on Instagram. I'd have to ask the person who's doing that for me. She works with me at the haunted house, and she's taken over all that and doing amazing. And we're also on TikTok. So there's lots of fun ways to keep up with us. And as long as you're talking about monsters, I'm going to listen. So.
Yeah. Do you, and I know we were going to let you go, do you build stuff for haunted houses as well?
Absolutely. We have a production company that makes a lot of props, stilt costumes, and masks.
And what is that?
And figures. That's Stilt Beast Studios is our production company.
Okay.
Stilt Beast Studios.
There you go, Jason. Maybe some new stuff for the nights.
And you know what?
Yeah,
we do classes.
absolutely.
We do classes. So if you want to learn how to make a latex mask, come out. It's a weekend. It's 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we can do a full class.
That sounds good. I'll bring that to the powers that be at the haunted house, because that's something we've been talking about for a while, is learning how to build our own masks and stuff like that. So,
and
get a couple of us down
class
there.
Happens in dark hour. We have a big classroom in the back. I think the only class we have openings for this year, because they sell out pretty fast, is our 2-foot monsters class. And the 2-foot monsters class is exactly what it sounds like. In that same time period, you sculpt and mold a monster that's 2 feet tall. You could make a gremlin, you could make a goblin, you could make a kobold, you could make one person in the last class made a honey badger.
Oh, nice.
It was, if you look at Stilt Beast Studios on Facebook, you could see pictures from the last class, and there's spots left for that, which is it's a really good time. It's a lot of work because it's a very short amount of time to make these creatures in, but it was very rewarding.
Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
When you get there Friday, it's an idea. When you leave Sunday, it's a physical thing, and that's awesome.
Wow.
That's really cool.
Well, thanks again for coming on. We're going to throw you into the green room. We'll catch up with you after we finish the show.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Alan. It's been a pleasure.
Sorry. I had to bolt out there for a minute. Some stuff was going on.
Good.
So, man.
Yeah. This museum is going to be cool.
Yeah. And then you have a monster artist who's making all this stuff, and wow, pretty cool.
Yeah. And I think he was, talking about it when you had to step out, but one of the big things he's doing with this museum is trying to make it as in you're encountering this beast or this monster as you would, in the wild. So, the Bigfoot is going to be, as accurate as he can make it from all these different, witness accounts and, evidence that's been found. And he's put a lot of effort into this place.
The Illinois encounter. He said they were going to have the porch and that's a lot of work. And that's really cool when you have something interactive too, right? Like you can stand on the porch and then you can see it.
Yep.
I think those are the best ones.
Yep. Like I said, it's different than just having, like a mural or a diorama, you know what I mean? Or just, little models of it. And, it sounds like they're going all out for this, and it's a topic that deserves that. So,
yeah, it's pretty cool. I know we were talking earlier. I want to touch on this. We have said that we're going to do Garnet House this year. We had Penn Paranormal on, who's been to the Garnet House. The video going around of some guy who cleansed the house or cleansed the grinner out of the house.
Yep. Dirtbag move, man. Yeah.
What
gives you the right what gives you the right to think you can go into somebody else's, property and do that?
Yeah. I mean, that's someone's business. No matter what it is, That could,
And really, that's the stand you're going to take. We have this company that is laser engraving the pictures of little girls that were chopped up with an axe. But the Garnet House, that's the stand you're going to take, and you're going to go in and cleanse it. Get the hell out of here. It's ridiculous.
yeah. It goes to someone's, I'm not going to say it's Justin's livelihood because I don't know what he does, but like you do this and now what's his people don't start canceling. And then
Yep.
he's having to refund money because you decided to be a douchebag.
Yep. Yeah.
You know?
No, it's appalling. And, you know, I checked the guy out a little bit today, and I guess we'll just say hopefully his cleansing skills are as good as his, you know, YouTube channel skills, and nothing happened because, yeah, nothing but AI drivel.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
You know, I messaged Penn. I saw someone do a video about it yesterday, and they're like, they're going to get hold of Justin and they're going to see what's going on. And then I saw this Cody's video today about it, and you know, it's 3 minute. I did like you said, the AI dribble going through, and then he pops in with this. And then I was over here, and
Yep.
this is what I do.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, dude, that's way different than your AI voice. Stick with that.
And I know
maybe we try to get Justin on and talk to him about that, because
yeah, and maybe we bring this Cody on and we
yeah,
talk to him about that too.
let him have a discussion. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because I've made it crystal clear, as I think everyone that listens knows, you know, I help manage the Knights of Pythias, and it is it's a popular investigation place, but it's not very well known, but it's popular with the people that have been there. And
Right.
that is one thing I put my foot down very hard is, you know, we have a great relationship with the spirits there, and you are not going to do any sort of cleansing or, you know, clearing or exercising of the house, nothing. You know,
Well,
you're
and
going to,
we've been to enough bigger places, right? That we know when you go in and you're looking at, you know, and you're paying your fee and you get the little contract, you know, no cleansing. And a lot of them are no cleansing and no provoking. And a
yep,
lot of them are
no
no Ouija
conjuring.
boards,
Yep.
conjuring. So there's all this kind of stuff. And, you know, his stance was, well, they paid for me to be there. The group that he was with, he's their security, their spiritual security. And this is what was felt. Well, if that's what was felt, then you need to leave it and probably leave, because that's not your place to do that, right?
Oh my God. Spiritual security for a paranormal investigation team. That's about on level with that guy I knew that was carrying around dual wielded pistols in a shoulder holster to fire holy water at whatever was scaring him. You know, get the hell out of here. They were squirt guns. Yes.
Squirt guns.
Yes. I mean, he had the shoulder rigs and everything, man. He was going full Nick Cage on Face Off with this shit, and it was ridiculous. Like,
you know, we don't push a limit on this show. It's not something that we ever decided that or something that we decided we didn't want to do, right? Want to be pretty open for everybody and bring them on.
Every now and then, you know, there's going to be something that just doesn't sit right, and you know, we're going to talk about it because we can. So,
well, we've been holding one for a long time too. So maybe that's another one that'll come out. I saw he made his social media live again.
Yep. Big bounty in the paranormal world right now. If anyone's looking to make a couple dollars, huge bounty going on.
Yeah, my silent partner. You know, so something we'll never do. You know, if it's something that we can't handle, we're gonna admit we can't handle it, and we're gonna probably get out of there. Fortunately enough, we've not had to do that. Even having some pretty interesting and darker experiences. So I would say that if your team can't handle it, don't go.
Yep. Or leave.
Yeah. Or leave.
You know, or establish the relationships that can help you in a situation like that. We just had this conversation last week between you and me when we were talking about an investigation that we were, you know, that was coming up of, okay, if we come across X, Y, and Z, you know, how are we going to handle it for these people that are asking for help?
Right.
You know, it's something you should plan out if you think you're going to encounter something like that. And like I said, establish the relationships.
Yep.
You know, get the knowledge or get the people that have the knowledge. Don't just, you know, start thinking you can cleanse everything. because sometimes
Right.
that can make it worse too.
Yep. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I'm excited to get over there.
Same here.
Anyway, some of my Western heroes have stayed at that place. So if anything, it'll be that cool for me.
Yep. Yeah. And it's always been a bucket list for me. So I'm looking forward to getting out there.
Yeah. Not something we do often, ranting like that.
All right. Soapbox down. I'm off.
Thanks for listening to us. Thanks for watching tonight. Alan Hops with the North American Cryptid Museum, had him on.
Amazing place. Yeah. Keep your eye out. If you go down to Texas, hit it up.
I was looking.
I know
at
we will. When
I was like, "Ooh, a hard opening of June 6th. That's 13 hours away."
Yeah. I know. We can do this. Yep. We need to get a Scooby van, man. I'm telling you.
Everyone, thanks for coming in and watching tonight. We'll see you next week.
All right. See y'all next week. Thanks, everyone. Unraveling the Darkness would like to thank Horn Paranormal Research for sponsoring our show. If you're craving more paranormal content, don't forget to check out our YouTube and Facebook channels at Way Out West Paranormal and Unraveling the Darkness. You can catch all of our episodes of Unraveling the Darkness on Apple Podcasts, Facebook, and YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe as it helps others find the show and join in on the paranormal fun. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, keep your lights on, stay safe, and remember, the truth is out there, and it might just be closer than you think.